Wajibadando bimbera, bimbera, wajibadando bimbera, wajibadando bimbera, wajibadando bimbera. Good day to you all. My name is Dixon, and welcome to Healing Through Stories at the Friendship Bench. Today, I have on the bench Lata and Tracy from the Friendship Bench Dandaro team, and we will be talking about life. Right, to kick us off, Tracy.
Hi, Dixon.
Hi, would you like to share your story?
Oh, it's a big story. I've actually been a subscriber to the Friendship Bench newsletter since 2012.
Wow.
And my first email to, I think it was June, I asked if I could do the training.
In 2012?
Yes.
That's a long time ago.
So it is. I look back now, I don't think I was ready. But
That's very interesting.
I started a transformation then. I didn't have the courage to actually ask for someone to talk to. So, from there, I've kind of every now and then sort of reach out, and I follow the bench all along. So when the training came up, the opportunity to train with the Dandaro Friendship Bench, I jumped at it. I was just like, yes, at long last, I can actually work because I'm a massage therapist. A lot of people confide in me on the table. And I don't always know what to respond. Because there's some things that there really aren't much in the way of words to comfort people. So I thought, well, it'll help me there. It'll help me with helping other people. And maybe in the process, I will get healed.
That's wonderful.
So after we did the training in January 24, I finally got a diagnosis after 18 months of being told that I had hormone imbalance. I got a diagnosis of cervical cancer, stage 3C. So we went from there. My gratitude to those doctors that I saw when I eventually got my diagnosis is immense. They finally heard me and listened. And even when as I was being told, you have stage 3 cancer, I was just like, thank you. Now at least I know what I'm up against. It's not fighting in the dark.
Were you afraid when you were told of the diagnosis?
No, I was afraid before. I was terrified before because I didn't know what it was. I was walking at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was walking up and down the house with bees in my head and not able to talk to anybody about it, not able to do anything about it, not knowing what it was that I was dealing with.
Tracy, before I ask my next question, which is around fear and how, as human beings, we learn to embrace fear, I want to stop you for a second and move over to Lata. Let's hear what you have to say about your story, and then I want to hear from both of you around fear and the fact that you both live in Dandaro and you are constantly interacting with people from Dandaro. You have a presence of people who have lived long years. And at Friendship Bench, we like to say those that have lived long carry the battle scars of life. And what we hope they do as they carry those battle scars of life is to carry them with grace and dignity. That's the other thing we wanted to talk about. We all have scars. How can we carry our scars with grace and dignity and help those behind us to learn from our own stories? Starting off, Lata, maybe share a little bit about yourself, and then we go into fear. As we try to talk about life, because really when we talk about life, one of the things that we fear the most is death as human beings?
So for me, I've been in Dandaro for the last 3 years. Friendship Bench, giving back has been something always close to my heart. As a family, we went through a lot of different things, health challenges and just stuff. I mean, everybody's got a story, everybody's got a journey. But for me personally, I wanted to give back because I was feeling blessed enough to have received. So when Friendship Bench started their training, it was something I really resonated with me. I loved the idea, I loved the concept. I loved the thought that you could sit on a bench and talk with confidentiality at the back of your mind, in honesty, because so many people out there don't have a safe environment, a safe space to sit in. And like you just said just now, so many scars, so many traumas, so many things that people go through, and everybody goes through stuff. So when you're going through things, you're looking at what you need to do to unburden yourself, because if you don't unburden yourself, it's just going to fester. And I feel that it's important to know where you can talk and who you can talk to. And not everybody's privileged enough to have someone that they can talk to. So Friendship Bench's concept of just being able to sit and allow people to talk if they, well, for Dandaro, okay, it's not a mental thing. As much as Friendship Bench is a mental concept in most other places, at Dandaro it's different. I feel personally it's more about people wanting to talk, to share. They've gone through stuff, but they want to be able to know that they can talk in confidence and share their stories. Sometimes it's just loneliness. So I like that idea, and I think that's what drew me to it.
Great. Thank you. You touched on something that is at the heart of what we talk about often at Friendship Bench, and that is loneliness. So we've got fear, we've got loneliness, and Tracy, any of those two, what would you want to share your own personal journey and how people can deal with fear, loneliness, from what you have experienced, from your own personal journey?
From my own personal journey, being alone and trying to fight everything on your own without sharing, it's quite a dark place. It's a dark and lonely place. The moment I reached out and told one person, I actually felt like a whole load had been taken off, like I wasn't by myself. I had support. And from that moment on, I knew, deep within me, I knew I would be okay. I don't know whether it was my ancestors or the universe or what it was, but I knew I would be okay. So that fear was crippling while I had it. I felt like I didn't have a voice. I felt like whatever I said didn't matter.
So are you saying opening up to somebody was the solution to addressing your fear?
Yes, yes, it was the biggest single thing that quelled the fear.
But oftentimes people are uncomfortable with sharing the fear itself because it makes them feel vulnerable. How do you actually overcome this? And this is for both of you. You know, how do you overcome that barrier and move on to open up about your vulnerability?
Can I say something here? I feel, and this is maybe a personal opinion, right? That when someone doesn't know you, it's easier. It's easier to share, I think, your fears, easier to share what you're going through if you know you're not being judged.
Is that why you brought up the issue of confidentiality earlier on?
Right.
All right, yeah, carry on. That
Okay,
makes
so
a lot of sense.
When you're talking to somebody, if you're talking to people who know you, they've already got their own idea or concept of whatever the story is about already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking to people who don't know you, then you feel more able to openly share everything, whether it's fear, whether it's the actual story, it's the scars, it's the trauma. If you feel like you want to have a good weep, you won't feel like you're being judged. And I'm going back to the word judged again
Yes.
because that's
Preconceived
exactly
ideas.
preconceived ideas.
Yeah. You've used two words which are very important at Friendship Bench. So the first one, confidentiality. So we actually use the Shona word for that, which is tsindidzo. So when we train the grandmothers at Friendship Bench or even the young people, that's a key component in the training. The other word you used was not being judged. And at Friendship Bench, we often talk about expressed empathy, which is the ability to make people feel respected and understood. So a lot of what you're saying really resonates with what we've generally seen over the years of doing Friendship Bench. So I'm going to ask this question to both of you. The first one is, what actually led you to the Friendship Bench?
Well, for years I've been lurking around the edges, too scared to ask for help, but knowing I needed it and feeling that Friendship Bench was where I would get it. And when the training opportunity came up, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to, one, help other people not go through the years I've been through, and also to perhaps mend myself.
Yeah.
So for
Thank
me, yeah, exactly what Tracy is saying makes sense. We all go through our things, and that led me to the friendship bench and the concept, and I loved it. I loved the concept of the bench, a simple but powerful idea where anyone can sit down and share their thoughts, their ideas, their feelings, whatever they're going through, and know that it's being said in confidentiality. Um, Friendship Bench always says there's a story, and it's true. Everybody has a story. Life is an intricate journey and filled with lessons, experiences, and that shapes us. Um, I think the safe space at Friendship Bench is what I really loved. And so that's what I wanted, and that's what drew me to it. And that's what I felt I'll be able to give back, pay forward, and share, and with empathy, be able to listen.
Great. You know, it seems for most people that are led to Friendship Bench, there's often a strong, deep, traumatic story. You know, as you might both very well know, I started Friendship Bench after I lost a patient of mine to suicide, and Friendship Bench was really an attempt to find myself, to find healing, you know, and forgiveness. So it's interesting to see that pattern, and we often see that pattern not only here in Zimbabwe but across the globe. When you look at people in Washington D.C., in El Salvador, in New Orleans, or even in the UK, who are pulled towards Friendship Bench, there's always that story, you know, that brings them to the bench and to try and do this work. My next question, you know, if you don't mind, is, you know, around your contributions to the bench. Again, both of you, how would you describe your contributions so far in the work you're doing at Dandaro and beyond?
So I bring with me years of experience as the pillar of strength for my family and friends. I was always the one everyone turns to. When there's a big family crisis, I'm the one that must fix it. It's always been my job since I can remember. So me being needy, it doesn't work for the rest of them. My personal journey has taught me the importance of acknowledging my own needs and actively seeking assistance. It's hard. My 2.5-year experience with cervical cancer diagnosis and treatment has added to my empathy for others, and profoundly added to my empathy for others in similar situations. I deeply value confidentiality, active listening. And I've learned to hold space for others, prioritizing their needs over my urge to fix their problems, and without taking their problems on to myself.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. Lata?
So the training for the Friendship Bench training that we did initially, I think that was really, really good because it gave us the skills and the skills to actively listen, I think. Because there's so many times you want to give advice and then you realize, no, people need to talk. So I think the skills that Friendship Bench gave in active listening, that really helped. And that with our own personal journeys and our own personal traumas have led us to be a bit more understanding, more empathetic, I think, and more able to, I think, listen to people. And I think that's what people need, just to be able to be heard.
That is so true. Just to follow up on from that question, both of you are there for others. You fix the world, you fix other people's challenges. So my next question is around how you take care of yourselves. So within the context of all of this work, how do you actually ensure that you don't get burnt out, or you don't fail to do the things you want to do?
We have each other.
That's
and
nice.
we meet quite often to check in and unload. Yeah, we have each other. It's such a big thing, using your ears to validate other people's feelings and having someone else's ear to validate your own feelings.
So when you say you have each other, when you're together, you are totally comfortable being vulnerable with each other, and you share, everything just comes out.
Yes.
Is that it? That is so important, isn't it?
It's very important.
Yeah. When you're not together, are there certain things that you do to take care of yourselves? Each one of you?
I have a friend of mine who does, she's a beautician, and I go once a month for a full body massage. And it doesn't matter how much expenses we have, how much debt we have, how much anything else we've got. I go every month religiously.
We call that self-care at Friendship Bench. Very important. What do you do? When you're not together, that is.
So for me, motivation has always been great. I mean, I like to listen to motivational stuff that uplift me. I like to read. I like to sit outside in the sun. I like to just listen to music. I think that also is very healing for me. But I read a lot of stuff, and I listen to a lot, and like podcasts, like motivation stuff, just things that uplift you. Not so much somebody else's story, but something that'll give you that energy to keep going in some way.
Yeah. Those are, we often use the word anchors to describe the things that you do that help you to keep going. So how do you envision your future role in all of this? Again, just both of you.
So for me personally, I live in Dandaro, right? Tracy doesn't, but she's part of.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I thought you live. So where do you live?
I'm in Alex Park.
Oh, right.
So we're on the same Zesa line.
Well, that means you always have Zesa.
If we don't, there's a big fault.
Yeah, because I've heard Dandaro always has electricity. Always.
Well, we get faults and we get, but they actually rectify it pretty quickly. So we're blessed.
So you spend a lot of time at Dandaro.
Yes.
Would you say every single day?
No. Not every single day, but I'm there at least once a week.
Right. That's good.
My husband's involved with the Dandaro players.
Oh, I see.
So that was what first dragged me in there, because my mother-in-law was living there. So he got dragged in to work with the players and do their couple of shows a year. which is also very therapeutic.
It's extremely therapeutic.
Um,
Yes, it is indeed. Sometimes I think, if Dandaro could have a radio station, which really just, for the residents and
I
really
would
share
love to do
so
that.
much, share all this information, because there are people there who are lonely. But the other thing, that I think is unique about Dandaro is you have people who have so much experience in so many different things.
Yes.
You have retired farmers, engineers, accountants, and all sorts of things.
Yes.
Imagine if we could tap into all
That
of
knowledge.
that resource, that knowledge. That's something we need to discuss at some stage.
Yes.
And you're so right about Dandaro. I mean, it's actually a village. It's not. People have this misconception it's like a retirement home or old people there, but there's so many people there who've got so much to share.
Yeah.
And so much knowledge out there, and so much. I just feel like Dandaro is a place on its own that people who live there are blessed to be in. So I think that for me personally, right? I mean, Tracy and I will meet at least once a week just to touch base on whatever it is we're doing with Friendship Bench. But we also, when I sit and I look at Dandaro itself, I believe that there's so much more that can be done there. There's people there who just want to talk, to confide, share their challenges, but in that confidentiality kind of environment. And they just want to talk. Maybe share their experiences, share their knowledge, do things. I feel because we're fairly new and we're getting to that point, but we haven't got there yet, strengthening these connections, facilitating deeper conversations with people, and ultimately fostering that culture of trust and understanding within that community might make people feel that they can come out and talk, and that everything they say is not going to be repeated. I think we need to build on that.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah, that trust, that culture of connecting, which, reminds me, the other day when I was at Dandaro, I bumped into this man, a black man. And, we started talking and I said, so who are you visiting here? And he's like, I live here. And he then started talking about how, the whole idea of race, when you immerse yourself in that community and you genuinely meet people who are empathic, that you connect with, the whole concept of race disappears. And it was so beautiful to hear someone say that,
in such a small community of that age group who hang on to those things.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that about trust, that's so important.
Yes.
Anyway, please carry on.
So that's me done. I think if we can just build on what we've got and let people know that it's okay, we've kind of got their back and they can openly talk if they feel like it.
I love the idea of building on what we have.
Yes.
Because oftentimes people think, we can only do this if we have A, B, C. But I like this idea of starting from where you are with what you have.
Yes,
I think so, because the difference with Dandaro and Friendship Bench, just other communities, is it's not so much mental. Mental. I think more
loneliness.
so. More so in people just wanting to just be and talk and share without being.
Yes, oftentimes, and that's common across the different cultures and countries where we've taken Friendship Bench. Although Friendship Bench is often described as a mental health intervention, it's really an entry point to create space for people to share their stories, for people to connect, and for people to really establish meaningful relationships in communities and to address some of the world's challenges like loneliness. This is really what we're doing. When you go to places like Washington, D.C., or when you go to the UK, or more recently in Germany where I was, the same theme emerges. It's about connecting, about creating space, because people are desperately looking for that connection. You know, the world has become so disconnected, and I think Friendship Bench gives people a little bit of hope
It
that,
does.
you know, it's possible to connect.
It does. And also it lightens that burden people are carrying,
Mm.
whether it's grief, whether it's problems, whether it's everybody's got that, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it allows them to just unburden themselves and feel that much better, I think.
You want to say something else? Please go ahead.
I think Lata's pretty much covered it. You know, to be able to take what we have already, so our experience, the training we've had, our own experiences, our experiences with other people, to help others. You know, for me personally, I'd like the Dandaro group to grow, to expand, to become more trusted, more, you know, more awareness about the Friendship Bench, and I'd like it to grow and expand into other villages. I'd also like to be involved here.
Oh, you're most welcome.
You know, in some way, I'd like to contribute here, at the hub. But ultimately, I mean, my passion lies with empowering individuals to help themselves.
We can talk about contributing at the hub. You know, if you have ideas of what you would like to do here, whether it's counseling or whether it's some special hobby that you want to share with others, this is an open
space.
Open space. How is Friendship Bench currently supported within, you know, the Dandaro environment, and what do you think are some of the challenges, and how can we as Friendship Bench at the hub, for instance, contribute? And really, it's, as you were saying, Lata, it's starting from where you are with what you have, but how can we enhance what we already have? How can we build on it, and what role can we play?
I think that where they are right now, everybody's got people that they visit. Lonely people, people dealing with loss, people dealing with illness. So almost all the benches who went through the training have people within Dandaro and outside of Dandaro who we deal with. We talk to, we listen to, we keep company, we just, even by SMS or WhatsApp, just, hey, how are you doing? It just to keep them connected to the rest of the world. And I think that they, from that point of view, as companions and active listeners, I think they're making a big contribution. I don't know that any of us have had the opportunity to go the next step. You know, I personally have had someone I was helping. I passed up to Ethel because I felt I was out of my depth. So I passed her up, and you know, it was clearly it was a good thing that I did that.
Yeah.
She still didn't really need to go to a psychiatrist, but she, you know, she needed the next level of experience.
Right. I think that's very important, knowing when to refer.
Yeah. It's just like when you're lost for words and you're lost for ideas, and you're sitting there going at what they're saying, you must refer on. True. Because you're no longer being useful.
What is unique about supporting people with you know, a wealth of lived experience, people who've lived for decades, but need some kind of support or are struggling with loneliness?
From midlife, you start losing peers. I've just recently, in the last few months, lost 2 people born in the same year as me, and that bothers me a lot. You know, it's like, you're not supposed to be collecting us yet. So they're dealing with, you know, the older, there are people there in their late 90s, there was a lady there who was over 100.
Wow.
And you can only imagine that there's very few of her peer group still around.
That's so
So
true.
loneliness is the biggest thing. Loss and loneliness are the two biggest things. And I think more so than the loneliness of being a teenager, my own experience, I think that the older you get, the more isolated and lonely, and you now have to start relating to people younger than you who haven't lived what you've lived.
That makes so much sense, isn't it? You know, the longer you live, the more people you lose in your life. Therefore, the more likely you are to be lonely.
Or next.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. That makes so much sense.
Yes.
Did you want to?
I think you said.
I think that then steps onto the next thing, which is the fear of death.
Yeah.
Because it's inevitable. We all die sometime.
Yes, and that was the thing we started off with, and it would be a good thing to end up with, the fear of death. How does one ever come to terms with death? And if yes, how does one come to terms with it?
I'm really not sure. I know I'm not good at dealing with loss. You know, you feel lost. You keep seeing the person you've lost in strange places. So you begin to wonder whether you're hallucinating. And there's that deep sense of emptiness. I don't know how I suppose I've never really examined the question of what happens in the end.
As in what happens when we die?
As in, do we just stop altogether there and then? Do we go on to be reborn as somebody else, something else? Or do we go into the ether?
Well, you certainly stop.
You certainly stop.
There's no doubt about that.
You do stop. You know, stop breathing, stop. But does your soul then transform into someone? I don't know. I've not really explored that much.
It's an interesting,
it's
a fascinating topic. You know, when you look at it from a scientific point of view, and if you think about our existence as an energy field, because we are energy, we are matter, you know, and when you look at the laws of physics, matter or energy is never lost. Yes. It just changes from one form to the other. And I think the question is, we don't know how we change and what we change into. Yes. You know, but I don't believe that when you're gone, that's it. Something happens. Something definitely happens, because if you are matter, matter cannot be destroyed. It can only change from one form to another. What are your thoughts on this whole, depressing subject of death?
I don't think it needs to be depressing, but I think everyone's got their own idea, and depending on their backgrounds, what they believe in. And I think if you focus on right now, you rather focus on where you are right now and what you can do with what you've got right now, because there's no one has any idea of what the next step is or where it's going to take you next, and there's no guarantees about tomorrow, right? So the thought of another life or another time, we have no control over that.
Yes.
So
that.
I would personally just stick to where I am right now and run with what I've got control over.
Yeah, that is so true. You know, I comfort myself when it comes to death by acknowledging the power of being in the present moment, because that's all you ever really truly have. And the fear of death is projecting into the future. So when we become anxious, we are either projecting into the future or we are looking at the past. When you're truly in the present moment, there's nothing to worry about. And and that's why I think actually, when you look at Friendship Bench, one of the things I've observed is that when people sit on the bench, they are in the present moment. Mm-hmm. When they are sharing their stories, when they are sharing their journeys. And I think that's where the cathartic or therapeutic part of it comes from. It's the ability to bring people into the present moment. And I really honestly do believe that as human beings, if we can spend more time in the present moment, we will be better at everything that we do. Yes. But that's very difficult.
It's very difficult. And you can only, it's very difficult because you're always going to look at a situation or a problem, or like we talked about loneliness and stuff, but there's also finance. Everybody's going through financial problems, right? As long as you can do the best you can at this point in time, that's all you can do. That's what I believe. So I don't know.
That's true. That's true. All we ever have is now. And so we should encourage people to spend as much time in the present moment and thrive in the present moment. I want to thank you both for joining me on the Friendship Bench.